What's up guys, Mickle here, and it has been a while now since we saw a big announcement out of Ripple the company, but just today we got something that completely changes the game going forward. In this video, I want to talk about a company that Ripple just bought that could make it the biggest infrastructure company in all of crypto. In this video, I want to show you some parts of this deal that really no one is talking about and why I think it is going to transform Ripple the company going forward. Guys, towards the end of the video though, I want to talk about something else. Earlier today, we got inflation data that came in hotter than expected. Now, part of my bullish thesis for the cryptocurrency market going through 2024 is that inflation is going to come down and the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates. In this video, I want to talk about whether or not the data this morning changes my forecast on the market going into 2024. Guys, make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see that. You are not going to want to miss it. Your support means so much to this channel. Thank you to everyone who likes the videos and is subscribed to the channel. It really helps me out so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange Uphold down in the description of this video. With that said, though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I want to start this video off and talk about the company Ripple just bought, because this really is going to be transformational to their business going forward. Earlier today, we found out that Ripple is buying standard custody alongside their New York charter. Now, this is super exciting because what we're watching is a transformation to Ripple's business model. Earlier this year, we saw Ripple buy the company Mickle, and now they're buying another major custody solution, standard custody. Guys, the reason this is such a big deal is because for a long time, Ripple was only a payments company. But now what we see is Ripple is really expanding their product offering to custody as well. Now, some people are saying, does this mean Ripple is pivoting away from payments? Does this mean that Ripple is done with payments? Not at all. It is all part of an ecosystem. It's all part of building out a cohesive product for institutions to leverage. Monica Long said, as we integrate custody more deeply into Ripple's products, we see clear synergies with standard custody to complement our payment and custody offering. All services being a one-stop shop move to convert store of value with blockchain and crypto. Guys, what we're seeing here is custody is a critical solution to a blockchain strategy. Big institutions are going to need multifaceted pieces of software with multifaceted solutions in order to really incorporate blockchain technology in their business. What we know is we are moving to an internet of value. We already have the ability to move value all over the world for fractions of a penny in the matter of seconds, but one thing we're really lacking is actually getting the value on the blockchain. What it looks like to me Ripple is doing is taking massive steps in that direction. By working with the custody solutions for the biggest institutions on earth, what Ripple is doing is providing them an onboard or providing them a gateway to get their assets onto the blockchain. Now, these institutions are going to need a multitude of ways to do that, but one of the primary ways in actually getting access to the assets to get them into the internet of value is by building self-custody solutions for them so that they can put their assets on the blockchain in a digital representation. This is where Ripple is taking massive steps, and the part that I love about their strategy is they are buying out existing infrastructure pieces of these big institutions that are already incorporated deeply into their payment stacks. So guys, rather than Ripple building up a new custody solution and having to go to the Bank of Americas, having to go to the standard charters, having to go to the DBSs and all the big banks, Ripple is saying, hey, why don't we just buy the custody solution they're already using and then integrate our payment stack on top of these previous custody solutions? In my opinion, this is a top-notch strategy and really shows why Ripple is above any other company in crypto. Right now, we are currently coming out of a cryptocurrency bear market where most of the big cryptocurrency companies were forced to slash their employees and drastically pull back on operations. Yet, what Ripple was doing in this time period was completely different. They were scouting out who were the infrastructure players they were going to buy on a discount as investment started flowing back into the industry. Ripple waited for the bear market to pass, and in the process of waiting, they were scouting out who was going to be their next purchase. And what Ripple did was, rather than buying another NFT project, rather than buying some hype project, they went and bought the custody solutions for all the big institutions. What Ripple is doing is buying buying their way into the biggest payment providers, biggest stores of value, biggest processors of value, and just the biggest asset managers in general in the world. And now what Ripple is going to be able to do is say, hey, now that we own your custody, let us show you more of the products we offer to take the value you already have and move it all around the world. Guys, this is so powerful. And what you're really seeing is Ripple elevating themselves above everyone else in the cryptocurrency industry and building crypto infrastructure that is going to be here to stay. Like I said before, it's not some NFT project. It's not some stupid project that's going to be going away in the next 2 years. These are solutions the institutions are already using and products that are going to take the value these massive institutions have, the trillions of dollars of value these institutions have, and work to start moving them over to distributed ledger technology. And guys, I think it's fairly obvious where Ripple is going to want to tokenize these assets. It's going to be the XRP ledger. And guys, if you thought that was bullish, just wait for this, because this really is the cherry on top. Standard Charter is a subsidiary of PolySign, and a couple months ago, PolySign actually acquired another company called MG Stover, which has over 40 billion in digital assets under management. So guys, on top of getting Standard Charter, they're also getting 40 billion in digital assets under management, which is going to take Ripple to being one of the biggest infrastructure players for providing custody of cryptocurrencies in the planet. And that happened instantaneously. So this is going to skyrocket Ripple's ability to actually put funds on the blockchain, put different securities, put different deposits on the blockchain, and really start tokenizing the world we're living in right now. Like I said earlier, we have the rails to move money all around the world. We have the ability to zap it from point A to point B for fractions of a second. But the problem up until now is there really has been no tokenization of the value in our current system into the new system. This is a massive step forward in taking the value from the old system, getting it to the new system, and the best part is Ripple isn't going to have to sell their product into all these different places. Ripple isn't going to have to convince these institutions to work with them. These institutions are already working with these products. Now Ripple owns them, and now Ripple can incorporate their own products into the products these institutions are already using. It is absolutely genius. It is the perfect strategy going forward. Now guys, I want to finish this video off and quickly talk about inflation, because earlier today we got inflation numbers that were hotter than expected. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you would know that one of my bullish theses for 2024 is that inflation is going to go back to normal. And as a result, the Federal Reserve is going to be able to cut rates. Now, earlier today, all the headlines were screaming that inflation is still running hot because it beat expectations. But guys, what the big news outlets aren't telling you, what the bears are not telling you, is that inflation still went down. Inflation went from 3.3% year over year to 3.1% year over year. So inflation is going down. Now, it was expected to go to 2.9%, so it was a little worse than expected, but it's still coming down. So a lot of people are saying, oh, inflation's back, it's reaccelerating. That's not true at all. All we saw was inflation is coming down a little slower than expected. And what you're looking at on this chart right here is what has happened to inflation over the past couple months. It's absolutely nosedived. So we shouldn't expect there not to be bumps along the way. We shouldn't expect inflation to just go from 7% to 2% in a straight line. Obviously, there's going to be up and downs. Obviously, there's going to be hiccups. And what we just saw is that there was a small hiccup. It didn't come down as fast as people were expecting, but it's still coming down. And the other thing I want to show you real quick is that we're still relying on data that is severely lagging. Truflation is reporting that earlier today, they saw inflation at 1.39%. Now, I believe the government data is going to catch up to this number. And why? Because what Truflation does is they report the value of different goods, services in real time. The government data is all lagging. That's all 3 months behind because the government is slow at everything and their surveys take forever. What Truflation does is pulls the prices of things in real time all over the internet, all over stores, all over different paychecks from payment services companies to get a real-time view of inflation. And they're pulling this from over 18 million items in 12 different categories, 30 times faster than what the government can do. So what we're seeing, in my opinion, is Truflation is reporting numbers that are likely ahead of the government numbers, and the government numbers are likely going to read these in a couple months from now. So am I worried about the inflation running hot? Am I worried about the report we got this morning? Absolutely not. In my eyes, it confirms what I've been saying. Inflation is coming down, and this is going to put the Federal Reserve in a position very soon where they have to cut rates. Now, in my eyes, what we're likely going to see is the government data catch these truflation numbers, and we're going to be in a place where the Federal Reserve has no choice but to cut rates because the inflation is below their target. But regardless of whether that happens, right, even looking at the government data, we're still almost at their target of 2%. And this is the data that people were saying is so hot, so much worse than expected. What you are seeing is bears trying to twist the narrative. What you are seeing is people who were wrong on inflation this entire time, trying to make it seem like it's coming back. Guys, inflation going from 3.3% to 3.1% in no way means inflation is coming back. To me, it is so obvious we are moving to a time period where inflation really isn't part of the equation anymore, and the Federal Reserve is going to have no point in keeping rates high. They are going to cut rates in the back half of 2024, and that is going to be extremely bullish for the markets. So I hope that makes it clear that nothing we saw this morning remotely hurts my thesis at all. In my eyes, it actually confirms everything we have been saying, and I think this just shows that a lot of people are still in disbelief, and even more people are going to be caught off sides when the Federal Reserve does cut rates, and it's likely going to cause a monumental amount of money to flow back into these ecosystems. And guys, real quick, what you're seeing in the charts of different assets is that they don't believe the inflation report either. Almost every single asset I have looked at is trading at the same level it was before the inflation report came out. All the algorithms sold off all the different assets. They all panic sold. But what we're seeing is in the long run, it's going to make absolutely no difference because inflation is coming down. And regardless of how people try to twist it, the data is clear. We are moving towards an environment where rates are going to be lower and risk on assets are going to boom. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.